and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Sorry. Counselor appointee Sean Smalley.
Here.
Counselor Grousman.
Here.
Counselor Sumner. Here. Counselor Boggs.
Here.
Counselor Hamilton.
Here.
Counselor Whitaker.
Here.
Mayor Vincent.
Here.
All present.
Diane, there's no
International media. Is there any media tonight?
recording.
I don't see any. Anyone wishing to speak before the city council tonight on any subject matter will need to fill out a speaker form and turn it in to the recorder. Forms are available on the sign-in table in the back of the room. Please turn off cell phones or silence during the meeting. Presentation, councilor appointee swearing in, city recorder, please.
And Chrissy,
Here.
okay, if we'll have you step in front of the flag, if that's you. And I'm going to turn the camera around. So we have there. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
Sean Smalley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States,
of the United States,
the state of Oregon,
the state of Oregon,
and the charter of the city of Sutherland.
and the charter of the city of Sutherland,
All federal and state laws
all federal and state laws
and ordinances of the
And-
city of Sutherland.
and ordinances of the city of Sutherland,
And that I will,
and that I will,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
faithfully perform the duties
faithfully perform the duties
of city councilor
of city council
during my continuance therein.
during my continuance therein.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And for you,
Thank you.
it's not nearly enough.
Thank you. That's it.
That's
You
it.
may be seated and you are
You can now vote.
officially.
Okay.
Is this like I'm capturing the whole room? Yeah, it does. Very good. Very good.
Excellent. So moving on in our agenda, public comment. The purpose of this public comment period is to allow citizens to present information or raise issues regarding agenda items only. There will be a time at the end of the meeting for citizens to speak about off-agenda items. A time limit of 3 minutes per citizen shall apply. All citizens must come up to the microphone. I don't think we have anybody want to speak about anything tonight. Diane, is there any chatter online?
Not that I know of. Thank you for
Right,
saying
so
that.
moving on, consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the August 16, 2021 minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the August 16, 2021 minutes as presented.
Is there a second? It's been motioned and seconded to approve the consent agenda minutes. Any discussion? Call for vote?
Counselor Smalley,
Yes.
Counselor Grousman,
Yes.
Counselor Sumner. Aye. Counselor Boggs,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Mayor Vincent.
Aye.
Motion carries.
On to council business. Planning Commission appointment, staff report, city recorder, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Diane Harris, City Recorder. We received an application from a Tom Maloney. Chair William Lee moved out of state just at the end of the month. His last meeting was at August 30th. So we have a position that's available, and Tom Maloney has asked us to keep his application in the running. He was unable to be here tonight, otherwise he would have attended via Zoom or in person.
All right, is there a motion to approve this appointment?
I make a motion to appoint Tom Maloney as to the planning commission, term ending December 31st, 22.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
It's been motioned and seconded to approve the planning commission appointment to Tom Maloney, term ending December 31st, 2022. Any discussion?
Is the planning commission one of those not requiring a year residency?
Exactly.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Call for vote?
Counselor Smalley?
Yes.
Counselor Grousman?
Aye.
Counselor Sumner? Aye. Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Mayor Vincent?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right. The bid award for Emergency Operations Center, staff report, community development, please.
Mayor Vincent, City Council, Brian Elliott, Community Development Director. Council is being asked to award the contract to Kevin Kinney Construction in the amount of $84,750 for the City Hall remodel. Part of the 2020-21 Council Priority Strategic Plan was to remodel and create an Emergency Operations Center in City Hall. We had 3 contractors that was interested in this project, but only one actually submitted a bid, which was Kevin Kinney Construction. Kinney Construction also done over the last several years different projects throughout the city. So he does have sufficient experience and qualifications to satisfactorily construct the project. It is a suggested motion to award as presented in the amount of $84,750 to Kevin Kinney Construction for the remodel at City Hall.
Is there a motion?
I would make a motion, but it's hard to make a motion with this amount of money without being able to ask a question. You say you have to make motions first before you can ask questions. We're gonna have to approve it.
Yeah, we don't have to approve it. We have to make a motion, second it, then open it up for discussion.
Okay, I make a motion to award as presented in the amount of $84,750 to Kevin Kennedy Construction.
Been motioned and seconded. Now we can open for discussion.
Okay, so my question is, this was part of the strategic plan, so it must be in the budget somewhere,
Yes, it is.
Yes,
and this amount of money is okay for our budget?
it's actually 100,000 was set aside for that.
I've got a couple of questions. The first one is, I don't see any conduits as far as with this statement of work to, in case there's antennas or anything that has to go onto the roof. Do we have them presently?
So the electrical was included in this, and we'll get a more detailed contract from the contractor if it's awarded. But we did have meetings with electrical and our IT for this project, so it is.
Or conduits to the roof?
Well, conduit that is needed for the application that we're doing.
And the other one is, they're replacing fluorescent lights with LED light fixtures. And did the contractor make any statement about that interfering with the radio frequencies?
Not to my knowledge, but I know that Kevin actually met with electrical contractor and walked through the scope of work. But I don't have
Okay, but they're finding that it has, which was Dennis's area, but they find that it affects transmission and reception with, especially ham frequency, amateur radio frequencies, which is what we use for backup.
we can make sure that that's addressed.
Okay, so just like that.
So in our discussion, Jerry, can I ask you to just give a small brief to the council? We've got a lot of new counselors.
Right.
why we're going about and doing this remodel and putting an emergency operations center in City Hall, kind of over the last couple of years, events and things that have led council to this priority decision. Would you please?
Sure. You probably saw it in my budget message, how we talked about going through a number of trials and tribulations in that process. The big picture is that in order for us to properly respond to an emergency in an effective manner, what we've learned is during the first week of any emergency, we're on our own. We actually have to upload a communication system to include radios. We actually need kitchen facilities to feed volunteers and workforce that show up to help solve the problem. And we need to have a constant technology IT system in place that we can communicate all the way to the state of Oregon, which then communicates with FEMA. And this is all part of a larger requirement that when you go to NIMS and get FEMA certified and become, when you have your emergency operations plan certified, which it is, you must enact an emergency, create and open up the Emergency Operations Center and keep it functioning and keep track of every penny so that you can get reimbursed through that process. What we discovered through the Snowmageddon issue is, again, we were all on our own during the entire time, and what we discovered is that we had no electricity, we lost all communications, we didn't have the ability to even sustain the Emergency Operations Center because there was no power, there was no any mechanism. And so we were really stranded and desperate for about 5 days, for those of you who don't know. When we came out of it, we did an after-action review, and if you recall, we shared with you the top 8 issues that we faced. And the single most important was having a functioning emergency operations center with facilities that can staff and serve and support volunteers and have power through any circumstance. So, as you know, you directed us to put together a plan for that, and the first thing we did is we now have City Hall fully generized, a generator, I get kidding for that word. So City Hall now has the capabilities of operating with the full service dual fuel generator that Ted Hobgood put in for us. You also will remember we actually put together the plan to move forward on the Emergency Operations Center, then the fires hit, and then followed by COVID. And so we haven't had a chance to take the deep breath to do the analysis needed. Now, one of the key things we did, I'll answer that up front, is what are we doing about the kitchen? One of the things we learned when we bring volunteers, especially our staff and our volunteers and employees, and we keep them here for days on end, we have the ability to sleep them in the 2 fire stations and to lay cots out in here and in the community center, but we needed a kitchen facility that was capable for volunteers to come in and cook meals and have it accessible to people. Well, where the kitchen is right now in the middle of City Hall, it wasn't functional at all. So you'll notice in this thing, we're reversing our meeting room space to convert it to the ability to immediately become an emergency operations center, but it's in the center of City Hall with the kitchen on the outside so we can open up the doors, put out an awning, have chairs and feed people and take care of the key, because the community center we learned during, and this is my last point, the community center that we learned during the emergency is really going to be a service center for the community. We turned it into a secondary housing unit for people that had been made homeless or houseless, who either through the fires or through Snowmageddon, they had no power. And so we actually have set it up now to where we have a mobile generator that can go over to the community center and keep it going continuously, but dedicated in service to the community, while this is dedicated in service to the responders.
Jerry, thank you very much. Any other discussions? Call for a vote.
Yep, I have a question.
Michelle?
Did we get any references, or do we have any for this company?
I will actually speak to that, and the reason is I first reached out to Kevin Kennedy because he's done several projects for us. He remodeled the police, two sections of the police department, and then built an IT facility for us. So we had high regard and respect for what he could do, while at the same time, though, we wanted to make sure we fulfilled bidding requirements by reaching out to several contractors. I reached out to three. Brian reached out to three separate contractors, and at the end of the day, they're all so busy. Kevin Kennedy's still stuck there with us, and we're actually kind of lucky that he did.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions? Let's call for a vote.
Counselor Smalley?
Yes.
Counselor Grousman?
Yay.
Counselor Sumner?
Aye.
Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye, after, 7 years?
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Mayor Vincent?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, on to resolution 2021.11, Land and Water Conservation Fund grant approval, Forest Pond. Call for staff report, community development.
Mayor Vincent, City Council, Brian Lee, Community Director. Council being asked to approve resolution 2021.11, authorizing the city of Sutherland to apply for a land and water conservation fund from the Oregon Parks and Recreation Department, and delegating the signing authority to the city manager to apply for this grant. So this is another step. It's nothing new. We've done this on all local land and water conservation fund grants. It is required. But as we move forward with the master plan, Friends of Forest Pond city staff continue to pursue funding opportunities for the improvement of Forest Pond. And this, if approved and awarded by Land and Water, it will consist of design, construction of the inclusive playground components, RV overflow parking area, sidewalks, landscaping, building, site furnishings. The total with match is about $740,000. Land and Water does require a 50% match. That's why it's $370,000. The match, again, we use the same strategies we used prior. The local government we can use as part of our match. Friends of Forest Pond have funds that's been donated, volunteer hours, as well as city staff hours that we use this match. If in the end there isn't enough match, we would scale back the project and do what we possibly could with what we received. And it is a suggested motion for council to approve resolution 202111, delegating the signing authority to the city manager to sign this application for this grant.
All right, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution 2021.11, authorizing the city.
I'll second. Sorry. I have a hard time hearing everything, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
So it's been motioned and seconded, sorry to cut you off, Debbie. Motion and seconded, any discussion? All right, we'll call for a vote.
Counselor Smalley?
Yes.
Counselor Grousman?
Aye.
Counselor Sumner?
Aye.
Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Mayor Vincent?
Aye.
Motion carries.
All right, resolution 2021.12, supplemental budget adjustment. Staff report, finance director.
Mayor Vincent and councilors, Tammy Trowbridge, Finance Director. I have a small budget adjustment that I'd like to present, Resolution 2021.12. At the time the budget was prepared, you'll remember, was very new and was not aware that computer equipment replacement was not an ongoing or hadn't been addressed recently, except it's absolutely necessary. And the goal with this budget adjustment is to bring all the city computers up to the same version of Office, so Office 2019, as well as replace our network server. We have a backup server, and that drive failed, as well as it's getting very old. So we do have a replacement drive that Matt, our IT gentleman, brought in and could be replaced if necessary, but the whole computer itself is very sketchy at best and would be not necessarily a great infrastructure choice. He asked if we could get a new server because the other one, that is our main server, is also fairly old. So we have that kind of and we would like to turn that into the backup server. Also, at the time the budget was prepared, staff was on a rotating COVID schedule, and therefore the 11 Cassell licenses were not an issue. But now that everybody is back in and working all the time, which is wonderful, but every once in a while people get bopped out because there's not enough licenses to let everybody into the system at the same time. So this would purchase 2 more licenses. And the other step of this adjustment is that a municipal accounting system is fairly complex. Not that we can't learn as we go, but and we have been, but here we are finalizing the audit, crossing over years. There's a lot of things going on, and when I found out that Cassell actually does come on site and do training, I was very excited about that. And so this includes 2 days of an on-site Cassell person who will be a thorough trainer in general ledger, accounts receivable, which we've never used to its full capacity, but we do own, fixed assets, which we've never gotten to work, evidently, and so that's a little complexity that I'm working through right now. Also, the Cassell add-in with Excel. There's just a lot of modules that we aren't using to their full capacity, and this will facilitate that. Be very excited about that, actually having somebody go through that with me. This doesn't change any of these categories by over 10%, 10% or more. In fact, probably could have been fit in the budget as it was, except for these line items, which are different than the line items where we would be under, and I would like to get obviously council's permission to go ahead with that. So your options are to adopt it or not, of course, but I am recommending that we adopt it.
Excellent. Do we have a motion?
I move that we approve resolution 2021.12, supplemental budget adjustment for fiscal 2021-22.
I'll second it. Been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Just wondering how long the licenses are good for.
Well, we renew our licenses every year. So there's a software maintenance thing, like $20,000 is what we were paying before for the 11 licenses. And ongoing support. So that includes, we can call them with an issue anytime. They will call us back, walk us through that type of thing. So every year is renewed.
Tammy, how many users can log on for each license?
1.
So it's only 11 people at a time?
That's what it was. That's why we were having problems once everybody came back into the office, full-time staffing. We would have our municipal court clerk, or we just had different people bopping off because there wasn't enough licenses available. So
by increasing 2, is that going to be enough
I think it is.
year, you think?
I think it is. If let's put it this way. We've gotten along with 11 for a long time with minimal complaints. I mean, I think this happened before, but it wasn't a really big deal. I think people are using the system better now, and so more people are logging on at the same time, which is a good thing. We're using our automation and the software that we're purchasing. So let's give it a run with 13. I think that we could be pretty, like, right in the sweet spot.
Okay. Any other discussion? Call for vote.
Counselor Smalley,
Yes.
Counselor Grousman,
Aye.
Counselor Sumner,
Aye.
Counselor Boggs,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Mayor Benson,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right, Tree City USA discussion. Staff report, city manager, please.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I agreed to take this on to help give community development staff more time in other areas. Essentially, Tree City USA is what it is before you. Really appreciate Councilor Whitaker's proposal and work that he's put into this. And I know one of the first questions he asked is, how come we hadn't been doing this before? And I think we just all got so busy, nobody ever thought about it, but he did. He is the active chair of the Parks Advisory Committee, and he presented this for consideration for the city. I think I kind of overwhelmed you with information, but in general, there are 4 parameters that you must meet on a regular basis. Every year, those parameters are examined, and you are renewed membership as you meet those parameters. The biggest issue I think that you might have that we had at first was figuring out the percentage that we're required to contribute to the tree growth in the community. And right now we're a little almost $17,000 that we have to show that we've invested, and that it can be staff time, it can even be volunteer time, it can be a whole array of things. And we certainly have some learning to do as we go through it, but we think that's possible. So with that, I'll just be quiet and let Councilor Whitaker or even Brian answer your questions in detail.
So, how does the city benefit from this? What, are we planting trees somewhere? We're planting trees anyway. So all the trees that we plant are a benefit to the city. But especially when we're dealing with Fort Pond as an example, there's a lot of trees that are being planted out there. And they all go toward to take this off. I think the bigger thing,
Larry, I don't mean to stop you. We've got to have a motion on the floor before we have discussion. Sorry. Do we have a so?
I thought this was.
It's just a discussion.
Discussion, not a
Do
motion.
we, Chad?
I thought we were doing direction.
In this particular case, you don't have to do a motion in a second at this point. But what we are going to want is a formal vote directing us to bring back an ordinance.
Where to go from here? Whether we want to pursue it, okay.
Yeah, if you want to, and maybe you want to think about it for a little while, whatever. We aren't trying to push it on you. We wanted to give you all the information to talk about.
Okay.
So I think the big.
Sorry, Chad.
I think the bigger thing is that there are many Tree City USAs because there are many people who believe in green America. And my wife always gets confused as being a tree hugger, but you know, a lot of people like trees. And what this does is it gives us a guideline to what kind of trees get planted, where they get planted, who takes care of them. The people that are coming in for the outside contractors doing development, whatnot, it tells them what kind of trees they can plant and how much space it takes to put the trees in, and it's just very informative from that standpoint. So I think that this is a community draw. Besides helping the community, I think it's a community draw because people look for places that they want to go, and they'll say, gee, there's a Tree City, that must be pretty neat, and they'll go and they'll take a look. So are these like city-owned trees, or is this available? I don't know if it's like a project for, you know, private property owners. If they have, like, say an RV park, doesn't have any trees, you know, you go there and sit out in the sun, cook it out there, the trees would be nice then. Right. But is this like the urban renewal thing, you know, where the city's gonna put out money for private property owners to throw in trees?
No, but we could give guidelines to people who want to put that park in.
as to what kind of trees that we would recommend for this area and how they would fit in and where they should go. We could give guidelines, but this is for the city limits. And we can't tell people, for instance, what kind of trees they can plant in their yard. We can only say what kind of trees can be on city property. Or if somebody's coming in to develop the industrial park, we can have a say in what goes into the industrial park for trees. And for the community as a whole, they can come in. I mean, the tree guide that I presented last time is very complete as to what kind of trees grow in this area. And it just has a lot of information, and we could just make that available to the city, to the property.
Yes, if I could just add to it, this specifically, the ordinance itself be written almost wholly to direct city staff on how we are to carry out that tree apron or canopy on city right-of-way and city property. But they do provide advisory expertise to help an RV park determine what kind of trees would work best where they are, and a whole variety of other species that may or may not work in one community. They could help guide us on what trees would work best for ours. And the Tree City USA has kind of created an austere thing, in that if you are Tree City USA, it's just a kind of a notch, so to speak, in the success of the community that people kind of look at and go, oh, they're Tree City USA, that's cool. And that's pretty much it.
So when they become if we become a Tree City USA, is there a website that we will, it says Sutherland on it? Or how does people find out that we're Tree City USA?
Yeah, at the last meeting, I don't know if Jerry put it in this package, but in the last meeting, and there is a website, yes.
Yeah, it's in that.
And it shows all the tree cities,
Have a page on
and then in Oregon. And then it'll show, you can get them from any state that you want. So you just look on it, and it'll have all the tree cities. That's why we know that there's 75 or something like that tree cities in Oregon.
So someone coming through here and would bring tourism to Sutherland.
Well, yeah, hopefully. I think it's just another reason that you, I wanted to say this last thing. You received an ordinance that I wrote, as well as the one that Tree City, a sample that they give you so that you had some idea what to do. And the one that I wrote, I took 5 different cities, Florence, Roseburg, Eugene, Ashland, and Almsville, and I looked at all of their ordinances. All of those are tree cities. I looked at all the ordinances, and I made sure that what we were doing matched what Tree City asked for, but also matched pretty much how these other people did, so that they got theirs approved, so that we'll get ours.
So at this point, you know, we're asking council, do we want to ask staff to bring an ordinance back to us in the next council meeting and move forward with this? Do we want to kick this can down the road and chew on it and mull it over, or just say the heck with it all together? So looking at a consensus or a decision from council on what we want to do with this.
I say go ahead.
Yes.
Okay? Sure.
That's it, go ahead.
Tom, you're the last holdout.
Oh, Michelle said
Yeah.
Michelle?
I would say move forward.
Okay.
And provide it.
Provide a can. Tom, any comment?
I'm not a holdout, I'm just kind of curious as to, or I just kind of need more on the benefits to the city. Because this is not just $17,000 this year, $17,000 every year, right?
Yeah, and as the city grows, that money, that dollar amount will grow, it's based on percentage.
So I,
So I don't know about you and your neighborhood, but the biggest tree I have is 8 feet tall, I have to cut it every couple of months. But my yard is full of the neighbors' leaves from their trees.
perfect.
And for years, we had the purple trees downtown that were nothing but a headache for the business owners and stuff. So I'm just wondering how many of people are really gonna get behind having more trees. Unless you can get some
I believe,
non-leafy trees.
what I believe, is that, first of all, the city probably does enough, according to that list of things that they said that we could do, grinding up limbs and grinding up leaves and doing all that different stuff that you were presented with last time. That city does enough right now to match the 17,000. And so, you know, taking care of the new trees that we're planting, or like all the oak trees that went out.
So it's not like we have to buy a license to be
No,
a
no.
city or a tree USA.
Yeah.
No. The only thing we have to do is we have to keep track of the hours that we're using to do the work.
Maintain them and beautify them.
Yeah.
So, maybe. Yes, sir.
Well, I looked into it, and I'm curious, one of the requirements of the ordinance was that they have, there's some penalty to not doing whatever the tree commission requires, and there has to be a tree commission too, as I understand it.
Well, the tree commission basically is the parks advisory.
What about the penalty that's, I didn't quite catch why there would be a penalty, or how we do
That's,
or who
that's
does it?
pretty loosely worded. So, I mean, it's not like we're gonna go out and beat somebody with a limb. But,
You copied it from other cities,
Right,
you wouldn't
yeah.
necessarily have to have that in there.
well, I think probably, I don't know, I'd have to go back and look at the sample that we put out, but, when I've talked to the people at the other cities, that has not been a problem. It's not-
I'm just curious what it is, so it's.
Well, I think it says in the documentation.
It gives more guidance than,
Yeah.
So not to get too diverse into the weeds, let's ask staff to bring an ordinance back together, but I think as far as community education with the information and really bringing this out in the community of that direction is gonna be a real benefit to answer a lot of different questions and help things, move forward seamlessly and, going forward.
Yeah, let me explain, this ordinance doesn't tell private property owners what they have to do on their property, but it does set a guideline and a template that they can look at the city and how they do it, being a Tree City USA, that they could follow. Or even, we could even bring resources from the Tree USA group to come in and help a private property owner if they so request. But we aren't gonna go out, this ordinance isn't creating a system for finding, people on what they do on their own property.
Violation.
That's already governed by state law.
Yeah. So, I think we're good on that direction.
I'll say yes.
It's the one if I say no.
Oh, majority.
So I think we'll continue moving forward in our agenda here.
So, Mr. Mayor, I want the minutes to reflect either that by consensus, the council agreed to move forward and bring an ordinance back, or a formal motion and a second. One of the two, I just want
Yes,
the minute.
by consensus, council is asking staff to bring an ordinance back to council, to move forward with signing up and being a certified Tree City USA.
Thank you. Very well said.
Okay. All right, if I pronounce this correctly, Axon body camera contract renewal approval. Staff report, Chief Mills.
Mayor, Council, Troy Mills, Chief of Police. City Council is being asked to approve
the Axon Technology Assurance Plan, or TAP contract, for the 21-26 timeframe. During the budget presentation for 21-22, the Sutherland Police Department requested funds to continue the Axon body camera assurance plan for another 5 years. And this report is to comply with the Sutherland Municipal Code Ordinance 2.36.030, request that this procurement be approved so there's no lapsing in contract and digital media evidence storage. This is actually a continuation of the original contract 2014, and then we got a new contract 2016. This is now the latest and greatest, 5 years. The contract ended up coming in at $52.92, $52,920, as opposed to the $57,005 that was originally requested. This covers 5 years for damage, loss, or malfunction to the equipment. It also does replacement of all the equipment at the 2.5-year mark and the 5-year mark.
Excellent. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the Axon Technology Assurance Plan, also known as TAP, for the contract of 2021 through 2026.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been motioned and seconded. Open for discussion. So having seen what this has done for the police department, Chief, what would your department be like without these cameras?
Well, there's 3 things that these cameras help us do, and that's help us gather evidence of crimes or situations that we're in. It also holds everybody accountable, who's around the officer or who's around the camera. And it also reduces the liability that comes to us without having footage one way or the other to back up what's being said and done.
Awesome.
You didn't say the third thing, and they save us a ton in legal costs. And, you know, we love Chad, but not that much.
Liability.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a smile out of Chad.
Any other questions, discussion?
And it also helps the person that the officer's talking to kind of calm down, relax a little bit.
It does. We keep everybody on mind. Someone in their best behavior.
Excellent. Call for a vote.
Okay, Counselor Smalley,
Yes.
Counselor Grossman,
Aye.
Counselor Sumner,
Aye.
Counselor Boggs,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Mayor Vincent,
Aye.
motion carries.
All right. So moving on, strategic plan updates. Implement a 10-year non-compliant ADA replacement ramp plan and sidewalks from Silver Glen to Grove Lane and Central Avenue. Public Works Director. That's a mouthful.
Mayor, Council, Ernest One Community Development. The reason that 2 things kind of got put together there. One of them was a report that the segment from Silver Glen to Grove Lane got completed. If you remember, when we did our Central project, we didn't quite have enough money to do connectivity on the south side of Central all the way out to Pueblo. Correct. And so that became a priority, part of the strategic plan to achieve that. So every year we're kind of biting off a little bit more. And this last segment to get it done was from Silver Glen to Grove. This, that sidewalk connectivity also dovetails into the 10-year non-compliant ADA ramp, because at every intersection there's obviously non-compliant ramps. So, as far as the 10-year plan, we're out about 3 to 4 years worth of ADA corners that we can work on. We don't have or have not built out a full 10 years as things change from year to year and different streets become a priority, then we fold those corners, those ADA corners into that. So next year, we hope to go from Grove Lane out to Nicholas Court. That's our next stretch there. And then also, we're planning on pavement repair on Everett and South State. And so there's a lot of ADA corners that will also dovetail into that project, mainly at the corner of South State and Everett, but then over at the east end of, or the west end of Everett, California as well. So, so our 10-year plan is kind of a floating plan, and we really only out there about 3 to 4 years of that. And that's the report on those two things mixed together.
Awesome. Thank you. Community center building, caulking, painting, exterior renovation, Public Works Director again.
Yes, Mayor, Council. This has been on here for a while. And it's like 2 years ago it was on here, and we discovered that the caulk and paint was actually pretty good on the outside, but the interior paint was pretty dingy, kind of scratched up and scarred up. So we took that money, we painted the inside instead, and now we're back to this, and it's deteriorated a little further. It's still in pretty good shape. We're in the process of getting bids right now, and this project should be completed this dry season.
Awesome. City manager report.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, I just want to give you one little brief update, is that I kind of just sat down with Community Development and Public Works, and we made a decision that we are going to pave West Duke from Park Hill to Plat M, at the corner where the other Smalley Trucking is, to the end. When we began the urban renewal land swap, it was done in partnership with a whole lot of people, but Sam Robinson went out and obtained commitments from certain people to allow us to connect them to water and to annex them to the city. And now that there's portions that's the county and there's portions that's the city, and we got into this kind of debate on who should do it, the county or the city, and the county, and we have a great working relationship with them, but they're kind of wanting they want to hold off. We can't hold off. When winter comes, that things are going to turn to soup. There are also some development guidelines that kind of direct us to do curb, gutter, sidewalk, and all those things. And we've worked with Sam and the neighbors to get them to, and Sam's still working on it, to give us an additional 5 foot. And what we're going to do is we're going to get Duke paved before the heavy rains hit, and we're going to add a 5-foot walking strip on the north side of Duke, so that when you access Duke as a pedestrian, you can at least walk from Park Hill to Plat M and not worry about a sanitary truck or a fast-moving vehicle or anybody taking you out. So that was an agreement we made with developers, neighbors, and Sam, and we're working on it. And I just want you to know that while we didn't budget for it, we're going to come up with monies. It's going to be about $100,000, but it needs to get done. And then we're going to go back to the county and try to recruit. They've already kind of agreed that they would partner with us, but I decided to go ahead and take the lead. So when you hear about it and see it, I didn't want you to be surprised.
Excellent. No, that'll be a nice addition over there. All right, we wind down the meeting to council comments. We're just going to jump right into the fire. Councilor Smalley.
Glad to be here. Everything I'm hearing sounds probably what I expected. Yeah, thanks just to keep my feet wet, get a little more used to the proceedings, and be able to help out.
Awesome. Councilor Grossman.
Yes, this one was directed towards Chief. Since we implemented that houseless group up north on State, I think it is, has that been beneficial? I mean, I don't see people around that much. Because of the heat, or are they using that area up there?
We have a few to go up there and use that, but they're not staying there days on end. They're going there, the time frame is sleep, and then they're moving on.
Oh, okay, so it's not a camp. Okay.
And some of it was, I So,
There's little pockets.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
That's all I have.
Counselor Sumner? Any comments?
Well, pardon?
Any comments?
Yes, I do. So I just wanted to take this opportunity with your message you put out there to thank you for stepping up and putting all of your time and dedication to the council and stepping up as mayor when that position opened up.
Recording in progress.
Oh, sorry.
And recording. And I just want to wish you luck in your new adventure.
Thank you.
The rest of us hate you, but,
Yes, no. So that's it right now.
Thank you. Counselor Boggs?
I don't have anything city-wise this time. Welcome, Sean. And Eliza.
We'll see.
Give it a shot for a while. Good luck, Ron.
Thank you. Counselor Hamilton?
Well, welcome to Sean. Glad to have you here. Steph. Glad. You do things just the right way. You buy a new house, you get a mayor, and then you leave. But it's been a pleasure, and I wish you and your family all the best. When I was trying to get onto the city of Sutherland again, it doesn't come up for me. I don't know if I'm the only one. Does anybody else have trouble with that?
You're going to the COS Civic Guest.
I put in cityofsutherland.com.
You're just trying to find the website?
Oh,
The website, I haven't had it.
I
don't know.
get everything but, yeah, it's just, I don't understand it. I get Facebook, I get somebody else that's got a lot of our stuff. I don't remember what it was called, but I just never get that. So I think we need to tell Troy, because I think he can do something so that comes up.
Have you cleared your cache so it
This
clears?
is Brent who's first time I'm using this,
Okay.
so.
Hmm.
I just wanted to throw that out there. Because it should be coming up, you put in City of Sutherland, that should be the first one that comes up. And
Don't put,
Facebook does.
don't put .com, just put City of Sutherland and see
Oh, I
what,
tried that.
you did that, okay. Weird.
That's all.
we'll take care of it.
And get online.
Counselor Whitaker?
We have a business that's down where the old Garrettson building used to be. Where the old Garrettson lumber. And it's a motorcycle business, and he sells a lot of things online, which is wonderful. You know, I have no problem with that. But he started having some like, I don't know, garage sale kind of stuff. And now it's turned into a full-time garage sale. I mean, that stuff's all over everywhere. And I'm just thinking about the people that drive into town. And that's the first thing they see. And I don't know if there's anything we can do about it. But I don't know if you have to have a license to have a full-size, whatever you call that down there, garage sale thing. But it just seems like the city ought to have some say in it. Yeah. The other thing that I wanted to mention was, have we investigated the dead tree removal at the old Chapel of the Roses, or whatever the chapel building is across from the park? We talked about that last time, I mentioned that. There's a huge dead tree that's right on the corner. Oh.
It's our tree. We're gonna take it.
It's our tree.
It's in the right place.
Wow. Tree City USA doesn't want that thing.
The property owner had cleaned it up.
Okay. Awesome. So I just, again, want to give my appreciation to city staff, to the community, to Sutherland. It has been an absolute honor and a pleasure being a part of this community and being a part of city council. Sad to see, yeah, keep that time. Sad to leave home, but excited for new opportunities and look forward to the directions that the city has to go. It's awesome. Glad to have Sean here. Welcome. fantastic thing. So, again, just want to give my thanks to everyone. You know, the flag's out on Saturday, September 11th. The community support for everything that's been going on in the world, and trying to keep our little heaven of community here safe. And just want to say thank you. So with that, our public comment, the purpose of public comment is to allow citizens to present information regarding items off the agenda. A time limit of 3 minutes per
In
citizen
your
shall
staff
apply.
report, make
Do
sure,
we have
make sure
any
you tell them they
other
need to
comments
accept
this evening?
success resignation and then announce a vacancy.
So,
I missed
at that point, I believe I'm gonna,
the motion to accept.
Chad, are you awake?
Yep,
So I
ready to hit,
at this point, I'm gonna turn the meeting over to, Councilor Sumner, who is the acting council president, correct?
yes.
Okay?
All right,
Yours.
so at this point, we're at the point where we're declaring a vacancy for mayor. Staff report, city recorder?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Diane Harris, City Recorder. At first, council will need to accept that resignation prior to declaring the vacancy, so we would need that to be done.
He's got one motion.
Yeah, we could do it in all in one motion. There's several options that you can choose from. The new council appointment can be filled at this meeting, and consider the council applicants to fill them. We have 2 people that did apply for council to fill council seats, if it comes to that. Council has the choice of being able to just declare the vacancy and appoint. We could make it effective on October 11th, which will be the next meeting where the swearing in can take place. At that time, you can also choose to, if there's vacancy on the council, we would declare that vacancy, and you could choose to fill that tonight too, effective October 11th. There are several options available, or you can wait until October 11th to make some of your decisions. It's up to you. And
So let me emphasize that you must first and foremost, under the council president's guidance, make a motion in a second to accept the resignation and declare a vacancy in the position of mayor for the city of Sutherland. And that's what you gotta do right up front, right now.
Make a motion to declare a vacancy for mayor position for ending December 31st, 2022.
and accept the resignation.
Accept the resignation of Mayor Vincent.
Do I have a second?
Tom. Did she hear that?
So we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Let's have a vote.
Did you call for the vote?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not hear that. Counselor
I'm sorry.
Smalley?
Yes.
Counselor Grossman?
Aye.
Counselor Sumner?
Aye.
Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
So now your mayor is gone, you've accepted, now you need to appoint a mayor.
Right. Yes, next is mayor nomination and appointment. Do I have a motion?
That would be the motion would be to
So our next step would be, is if, do we want to make a nomination from someone on council at this point?
I nominate Michelle Sumner.
Second.
So we have one nomination on the floor. Are there any others? Any discussion?
So can I just interject real quick? You may want to make the motion, based on what, the Superior Court was mentioning before, for the appointment to be effective October 11th, as opposed to tonight.
Okay,
Because I believe you want to do the swearing in if you are in town.
yes, okay,
So you may want to have the motion be amended to reflect that.
okay.
Who made the motion, Larry?
Well, I didn't actually make a motion. I made a nomination, but I'll make a motion that we accept Michelle Sumner as mayor for the term ending December 31st, 2022, effective October 11th, 2021.
I seconded this.
And to follow suit, is there any further discussion on that? Do you want to go ahead and vote?
Counselor Smalley?
Aye.
Counselor Grassman?
Aye.
Counselor Sumner?
Aye, I guess.
Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right, so I guess at this point, we need to appoint a council president.
Yes. Correct.
Do I make a motion?
Sure.
I make a motion to appoint Debbie Hamilton as president, council president, effective October 11th.
I would second that.
You want to accept?
Any other motions on the table?
I hear a train a-coming.
This is where we make another motion
Yeah.
to fill, or what do we do?
You guys are appointing a council president.
Any discussion? Everybody's so quiet all of a sudden, come on. Okay, ready for a vote?
Counselor Smalley?
Aye.
Counselor Grassman?
Aye.
Mayor appointee Sumner?
Aye.
Counselor Boggs?
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton?
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, so now we're declaring a council vacancy and establishing our next steps. Since now we have a vacancy due to Seth leaving.
Michelle, also, correct me, Chad, she needs to resign as counselor.
Correct. You should officially submit your resignation effective October 11th when you're sworn in as mayor. So they can accept that to declare the vacancy in your council position.
So if I'm doing that, can we still appoint someone tonight if we want to?
Yeah, it would be effective October 11th upon you being sworn in as mayor.
And do I just state I verbally do my resignation? Okay.
Yep, you can just say right now that you hereby submit your resignation effective October 11th upon being sworn in as mayor.
Okay. Okay, so as, oh, you're back. It's paused.
I can see you.
I can see you.
Can you see the view up in the right-hand corner where it says view?
Yeah.
So if you click on that and hit gallery,
Yeah, now I can see everybody.
there you go.
Okay, so I formally resigned my council position effective October 11th.
So now we can accept that
Just to
resignation.
clarify, if I'm being sworn in as mayor, so until you're sworn in, you'll still be on the council position, so all day on the 11th until the meeting itself.
Okay, effective once I'm sworn in as mayor.
So now the question is, does the council want to accept that vacancy tonight and take further action to direct staff to either solicit applications or make an appointment tonight? Or do they want to wait till October 11th to actually accept that resignation?
That's what he just said. So did you all understand that? If you want to move forward with candidates in front of you now, then you need to make a motion in a second to accept her resignation effective October whenever. If you want to extend a search process by advertising and looking elsewhere, then you don't need to do that until the next council meeting.
I'll make a motion that we accept Councilor Sumner's resignation this evening and that we go forward with appointing a replacement tonight.
Second.
That we accept the resignation as of October 11th.
And declare a vacancy.
And declare.
So who got the second?
Joe.
Let's go, Joe.
Joe seconded it.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Counselor Smalley.
Aye.
Counselor Grossman.
Aye.
Mayor appointee Sumner.
Aye.
Counselor Boggs.
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton.
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Are we ready for the next motion?
So at this point, I think we need to decide how we're going to do that, correct?
We do have ballots in front of you if you choose to go that route.
Well, I'm just gonna make a motion then, in all fairness here, that for all the back and forth at the last appointment processes, that we go with the next viable candidate to be filed, which would be Ms. Wood. Ms. Wood. So I'm gonna make a motion that we nominate Lisa Wood to the council position, to the council vacancy.
We have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Just in the interest of fairness and all that, I mean, Gary would like to address the council, and Lisa would like to address them again. We hear from them.
Is that an appropriate time to listen to both of them during discussion of the, after our motion? Okay.
Yeah, you can do that.
Okay, so do you want, let's have Gary come up?
Thank you. You know, it came to my attention from a good friend that I've never actually done a resume in my life. So actually, I've never even applied for a job in my life. I just do it. Anyhow, I realize I need to give you a little more information about what I'm about. Anyhow, I love Sutherland, and I care about it. I've been here about 10 years now, over 10 years. It's a great place to work and live. And there's peacefulness and beauty in this valley. And sometimes it's hard to realize it's such a nice little valley, but it's really beautiful here. And I've had friends that visited told me how neat it was in this valley. Anyhow, when I chose to move here, I discovered that beauty and that quality of life that affords us here. I've met a lot of really nice people and helpful people, and they're friendly, and then the amazing volunteers we have here. We've got so many things done because of volunteers, and I've just never lived anywhere where that happened as well as it does here. Anyhow, I enjoy being involved with this community and working with the people, the volunteers, and the city staff. I think everybody in this room knows me. The only person I haven't really talked to is Sean, and I probably will at some point. Anyhow, I've supported local businesses a lot. The Sutherland Chamber of Commerce, of course, the police department, Forge Pond, the fire department, Blackberry event, downtown development, the urban development, the library, music in the park, just to name a few. So I've been pretty much supportive of everything that's gone on here. Anyhow, I've owned and operated several businesses in my lifetime for over 50 years now, where I'm getting old. And I've organized and promoted a lot of events, and I've done things for the community and other communities I lived in. Actually, I was put on a lot of events for the benefit of the communities where I was in. Anyhow, I served on the board of directors of the Southern Chamber of Commerce for quite a long time, and I was also a term vice president. Some of the things I've done, I purchased a fire truck using the business and chamber donations, and we fitted it with seating to give rides to children of all ages, of course, for events and parades and so forth in the city. And one of the other things I've done is I installed all the signs that are around the city, the one at the entrance on the other side of town. I put that up, and the one in front of the chamber. I know that's not a big thing, but it's just things that I've done. And I attended graffiti meetings in Roseburg, and I managed to get them to allow Sutherland to become an official part of the graffiti weekend. So we organized a street fair, we closed off Central, and we put on a street fair downtown, and that was a big success, especially the first year. I met with business owners during that time to encourage them to take advantage of what was going on with the extra people that's going to be in town, and kept them informed of what was going on. I also organized a car event where people would come and they drive around the area, and we pick out points of interest like the bridge and so forth, and we got them to actually get out of their cars and go check things out. And then one of the things, for example, was they had to tell us how long the covered bridge was in Rochester. And it's 85 feet long, but we had people out there stepping it off and doing all kinds of things trying to figure out how long the bridge was. Anyhow, those kind of things helped Sutherland a lot, and they brought new people into town, and they also gave people that lived here and close by that a little knowledge of what was going on in Sutherland. I also did some t-shirts that we printed with Sutherland information on them, and then we distributed them out to the visitors and the participants of these events. And later I donated those to the chamber where they sold them and kept the money for whatever projects the chamber needed. And then there was the business registration. I was asked by the city council to provide input from the business community. So I interviewed the city staff, and I kind of made a list of things that were important. And therefore, we kind of got together with the businesses. I got anybody that was concerned was welcome to come and talk to us, and we held a lot of meetings, and we came up with a plan. And after we came up with that proposal, I met with Jerry, and we got together and kind of worked out the details and presented that to the council, and where it was approved. And one of the things I'd like to mention about that, there was a lot of people that were really opposed to the whole thing. They were just not going to do it no matter what. And by the time we got through, they were supportive, and they went along with the program because they had a chance to put in input and tell us what they thought. And we also had a good reason for doing it. And once they knew that reason, then they were open to it. Let's see. I regularly attend city council meetings, as you know, because you all know me. I'm serving on the budget committee and the planning commission. I was chosen for the Sutherland Man of the Year in 2016. But to summarize, I've had many years of business experience. I've held office in several organizations, organized and promoted events, and this kind of experience I think would add value to my membership in the city council. I do well dealing with people. I try to put myself in their place and see what they want and need when they're making decisions with things. I make my decisions based on reasons, objectivity, and fairness. Living here for the last 10 years has given me the insight and experience to know how our city works. I know many of the citizens in our community, business owners. I know a lot of the city staff. I know a lot of the volunteers, and I have good working experience with them. I will contribute to the city's agenda and goals, as well as moving forward with new goals. Please consider me to be on the council. I'll bring my experience, reason, and will continue to be actively involved in participating in promoting our city. And that's the end of my statement. Would somebody like to ask me something? Then I'll go sit down.
No, but I wished you would have done that at the last time that we were here. That was well done.
Well, that was my inexperience speaking there. I have to admit that. You know, one of the things that I've done in my business life was I heard a lot of BS. And people who brag about what they can do usually can't do it. So I've always based my judgments on what people do rather than what they say. So I kind of carries into this kind of a thing. I kind of have a hard time talking about that sort of thing. You know, I just do it. I don't do it for gratification from, you know, I don't want people to think I'm special because I do it. I do it because I like to do it. Anyhow, here I am. Thank you.
Thank you. Lisa, would you like to come up?
Thank you, Mayor-elect. I'm not sure if that's the correct one, and council members. I hadn't really planned on saying anything today. I wanted to just come be a part of this and see what was, you know, what was going to happen with the resignation of Mayor Vincent. And, you know, I look at what I told you all last time, which you were all here, and, you know, I can repeat all of that, but I just, without that, was saying, I just want an opportunity to be able to serve this community, which we've made our home. I haven't been here as many years as many others. However, I didn't hesitate when it came to getting involved. You know, I kind of jumped in as quickly as I could so that I could be involved and help make a difference and help our community grow. And, you know, Sutherland is such a beautiful place, which everyone knows. And there are so many natural amenities that we could bring people here, just like the Tree USA. You know, people are going to look at the beauties because there isn't as much beauty out there as there is here in Sutherland. The people are kind and considerate, where they jump in and help one another. And in addition to that, this community just has so much to offer where we can work, live, and play. Not very many places do you get that opportunity. So I have experience in business. I've been in business for myself for over 20 years. I currently have a position with the Small Business Development Center where I'm the director, where I help businesses grow and develop and create a plan for their future, whether it be a plan to move in or expand, or even for them to have succession planning, whatever that may be for them. And so I bring that experience, the experience of owning my own business, and bring it to my community. And so with that, I just hope that you take that into consideration, and I just welcome the opportunity to be involved with City Council. So thank you. Does anyone have any questions for me? Did we lose?
Where she is.
Okay,
She's back.
please don't make me repeat it. Are there any other questions? All right.
Thank you. Now that I'm back, I lost you guys for a minute. Okay, so, we have a motion on the floor. Does anyone want to make any other motions?
I'll make a motion to add Gary to the list so we can vote.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
So we have two motions and seconds. How do we handle that?
We need to decide on the first motion. It's almost as if it was more of a nomination. We can have two
Oh, we didn't have it.
nominations on the floor, but not two motions. Is that correct, Chad?
Yeah, that's correct. So if you want to change the process, you should have a withdrawal of both the motions and then have a new motion basically just to vote on these two potential appointees and using the similar process to what you used last time. So if you want to do ballots, you can do it that way. But you should withdraw the previous two motions if you want to have the opportunity to consider both. Otherwise, you need to vote on the first motion first, and then if that fails, you can vote on the second motion.
Okay.
I'll withdraw my motion,
I'll
my first motion.
Okay, so both motions have been withdrawn. And do you guys want to then go to the ballot?
So at this point, if you could just do a motion to consider the two potential appointees by using a ballot process, and then vote on that motion, and then you would go through the process of using the ballots to vote on the two potential appointees.
Okay.
I make a motion that we. I forgot what you said.
Consider the two appointees by ballot.
To consider both
To consider both
appointees.
Appointees.
nominees, appointees, they're not
There you
appointees.
Nominee, you're right. Appointees.
Two
Is what Chad
two
said.
candidates for city council by using the ballot process.
That was second. Any discussion?
I would like to know what the benefit of that would be by ballot, because to read them all immediately after our words anyway. So are we, what is the purpose for a ballot?
Because you can attain a majority vote on one ballot for any single candidate. So you don't have to go, I make a motion for this person to pit one person against the other.
Okay, so you're cutting down this item.
That's correct.
Okay, I withdraw my question.
Too late, you already asked it.
We already heard it. Okay. So you have the ballots in front of you?
Well, you gotta vote.
You have to vote.
Okay, ready for a vote?
Excuse me.
Sorry,
Too much.
I shouldn't have said that way, I didn't mean it that
See
way.
my paper. Counselor Smalley,
Aye.
Counselor Grossman,
Aye.
Counselor Boggs,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
Aye.
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Mayor Appointee Sumner.
Aye.
She can just hold up a name in front of the screen, is that how it's gonna work for her?
I was just gonna text you.
I was gonna say, I even made ballots for
Very-
you, even though I didn't want to be here.
Okay.
I can just text Jerry my, and he can write it down for me.
I didn't get it.
She's still in the process.
Well, I'll do it right now, okay, hold on.
It is coming all the way from Alaska.
Here, Jerry, mark it on there.
Did you get it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
Karaoke bar.
Are we ready?
Sorry. Larry just said that exactly what you're saying.
Okay. No, we didn't have is the. Oh, yes, we did.
Ditto, Debbie.
Counselor or Mayor appointee Sumner votes for Gary Daigle. Counselor Whitaker for Gary Daigle. Counselor Hamilton for Gary Daigle. Counselor Boggs for Lisa Woods. Counselor Grousman for Lisa Woods. Counselor Smalley for Lisa Woods. That's a tie. That's a tie, 3-3.
Well, you got options. You can flip a coin,
Oh,
draw straws, or do another vote and convince somebody to go one way or the other.
we can debate.
Can the council discuss like amongst themselves, or you guys can discuss one or the other?
Why you feel.
Yeah, why you feel over one or the other. Well, they need to go up there. Do they have to leave if they do that? No.
Fortunately. It's a public meeting.
No, not you, not you.
I can leave.
Let's just change the council from 7 to 8.
Right. We don't need to vote.
Well, what are you, a
Then we
Democrat?
have a split vote on everything.
Let me tell you why I voted for Gary. The last time that we voted for commissioners, I voted for Lisa. Almost every time. And I did it because she wrote up wonderful information that I could read, that explained what her background was and what her expertise was. And I was impressed by it. The reason that I changed my vote tonight is because I did not realize all of the Sutherland community events and committees and work that Gary has done in this community for the last 10 years. And I think that just based on the fact that he has been here, that he knows the people, that he has been willing to come forward on many occasions and serve on boards and do all of that sort of thing, he has demonstrated his desire to make this community.
I agree, they're both excellent, but I have to go with Gary just because he has been here much longer and has been way more involved than a lot of people in all the Sutherland activities. So that's my reason. But like they said, it's too bad we can't have both of them.
Can we ask the candidate a question also?
Yes, go ahead.
Gary, I'd like to know, last time you came, you said when you were giving your presentation, or whatever it was, yeah. He said, I don't like the way that the city's going. Do you remember saying that?
Well, I don't think I said it was the city, I didn't like the way the country and the state's
Oh, the country and the state's
going. I like the way the city's going.
So you're okay with the way the city's going?
Yeah, I like it was better what's going on in the city. I don't think
That's what made me hesitant, was, I remember back several years ago where there was a lot of.
He remembers when he was aligned with Denny.
Bickering, and that's what made me question what I heard. Okay. Thanks for the clarification.
My question to Lisa is, after our last go-around, how come you want to be on council so bad?
I want to make a difference. I want to see the city grow. I want to see new opportunities come to Sutherland. I have experience in business, and I can see that there is a future here, not for just the people that are currently here, but new people, bringing in new economic development, new growth, and not being in a position where things are stuck in a way that is stagnant. And, I want to make a difference in our downtown region. I want to be able to, try and, help those businesses get to a place where they can grow and develop and not have some of the places look as the way they do, and this be a place where tourists can come. So I want to be involved in making a difference.
I'd like to ask Lisa a question. If I heard you right also, I'm aware of your experience and exposure even over at UCC. And you made a comment about, I think it was tonight, that you have a lot of exposure to other business individuals. Is that true, or?
I do. I work with businesses.
Can you speak about that a little bit?
Well, everything I do at the Small Business Development Center is in terms of clients is confidential. So I can't go into detail about their businesses, but I can go into some of the practices that we help businesses with. So if a business comes in and they have an issue with, say, their finances, we can help them develop a business plan, go over their cash flow statements, their balance, things like that, so they can actually have a viable plan moving forward.
Or is that just people in the Douglas area? Or
Anything within Douglas County is my region. And my passion is rural. I want to be able to help rural communities develop and grow so that there's economic development coming in, so that our community members aren't so impoverished. And there's a lot of them that don't. So I want to help in that.
You're a city council member. Does that conflict with your job there?
It's not. I already checked with my college president, and it is not.
Okay. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I don't want to inappropriately influence the council, but I think it's clear you have two absolutely outstanding candidates. One works for government in helping businesses grow, and the other is a business that wants to grow. And I think that, you've got options there.
Well, question, after people have talked with each of the candidates and talked with each other, has anyone decided that they want to change their vote before we talk about whether we're going to vote again? Is it worth voting again? Okay, so Jerry, do you have a thought on which way to go at this point?
No, I mean, one of two options, make a motion and a second for a candidate, and see if you get that extra vote to get them on board if somebody had changed their mind in this discussion. If not, do another ballot.
I might say that we have two, like you, we have two excellent candidates, each coming from a different viewpoint, and it's tough to make
It's
that
tough.
decision. It's like, America's Got Talent. It's hard to make that decision.
Lisa, are you on the planning commission?
I am on the planning commission as well. I'm part of planning commission also. And in addition to that, I'm in the process of opening a business here in the town to help with children and adults for activities that are going on.
So you are going to be involved with city activities
Absolutely.
somewhat?
Yes,
No,
I just
because-
participated in the Blackberry Festival that was here. I haven't had a tenure that's been long-term so far, but at every opportunity I've been involved. I also have gone to the chamber meetings that we have. I get direct reports on the chamber meetings. And so I am involved in many ways already.
Mr. Mayor? President? I make a motion that we choose Gary Daigle as council.
I have a second.
Second.
Any discussion? We have a vote.
Counselor Smalley,
This takes Lisa out of it, correct? So, I have a hard time, so I have to say nay.
Counselor Grassman,
From the viewpoint that I am, I would say no.
Counselor Boggs,
No.
Counselor Hamilton,
Yes.
Counselor Whitaker,
Yes.
This somehow.
Mayor appointee Sumner,
Yes.
3-3.
Chad just texted me and said you can wait till next month if you want.
I'm gonna make that motion that we table it out till next month. I want time to think about this a little bit more. Oh, sorry about that.
Okay.
I'm open to both of them,
I know, it's tough.
pros and cons, I just wanna think about it, I wanna.
Yeah. And.
Disappointed, didn't you?
All right, so does someone want to make a motion, we table it until next meeting?
Motion, Debbie seconded it.
I thought Tom
motion.
and Debbie
I didn't
Sanders.
know about the previous. My bad, my bad.
So, make a motion to table the appointment to next meeting?
Yeah.
Diana can correct me, but I believe Councilor Boggs made that motion. I believe I heard a second already.
Yeah.
Okay.
I believe it was Larry that made
I
it.
did. Second.
Any discussion? Let's vote.
Counselor Smalley,
Yes.
Counselor Grassman,
Aye.
Counselor Boggs,
Aye.
Counselor Hamilton,
I,
Counselor Whitaker,
Aye.
Mayor appointee Sumner.
Aye.
Motion carries. Till next meeting.
All right. Then I think that's it. We adjourn.
Thank you. Good night,
Thank you.
everybody.
Good night.
Good night. Enjoy your vacation, Michelle.
Thank you.
hi, Michelle.
I don't think they cut this.
Somebody that came first.
I have to decide to vote right here.
Oh, I know. Well, you can do that, you know.